Welcome to ASU Football Insiders. I'm your host, Rob Penn, along with my co-hosts, J.R. Redmond and Juan Roche. Last week, the Sun Devils took another loss, 42-28, to the USC Trojans. What stood out to me last week was team speed. Juan, what was the biggest factor, in your opinion, in last week's loss?
Well, without question, the boys showed up ready to play. I think that Coach Dillingham and his crew elevated them and got them to where they were overachieving a lot better than anyone gave them any chance or credit for. So that was good. What was very evident to me in watching the four quarters, specifically in the first half, is they had the more talent, we had more fightness, but what we're lacking is dominant players. It takes Skattebo out of the equation there, and we just don't right now have the dogs that we would need to be a dominant team. So you got to get those key players in there. You got to get those guys on the offensive line. You got to get that edge rusher that could get around that tackle. Now, our boys put up tremendous fight. We got good football players, but I think the mold has been cast for Coach Dillingham and his staff. We need dominant players. We need those guys like a J.R. Redmond, like a Jake Plummer. We may have that with Jaden Rashada, but we need those go-to guys that in a clutch or when you need to score a touchdown, when you need to get those extra 2-3 yards for a first down, we got to have those guys. I mean, we got Skattebo, who's been a great addition. He's been a awesome player, so you could call him dominant for what he does, right? But we need to get those guys on defense. We need to get those players on offense. It's going to be a rebuild, man. I think that we're in the right direction, but it's going to take a little bit. Develop the kids that are there now and bring in some other players to get to that point where we have those dominant pieces where we can take over games. SC was beatable. We didn't have the dogs to beat them.
Our defense gave up over 550 yards. How do we correct that moving forward?
Well, again, it goes back to recruiting. It goes back to scheming properly. They had Caleb Williams. He's the Heisman Trophy winner. There's a reason why the kid's going to be pretty much the lock for the first pick of the draft next year. He is dominant. When I use that word dominant, right, he can dominate you and take over a game. So even though their defense was not up to par, and they made a lot of mistakes on offense too. Don't get it twisted. Caleb Williams, made his gaffes. He got hit in the balls a couple with that one snap, but making fun of that. But again, they find ways to win. Good teams find ways to pull ahead. They find ways to get that W. It's because they have those pieces in place. So I think it's just a matter of getting the right guys in here, and again, developing them and just getting that sense of dominance on that side of the ball. And on defense especially, we need that edge rusher, right? We need that guy that can get around to get to the quarterback. We need that lockdown corner, that hard-hitting safety. We got good players again. I don't want to take anything away from our kids. We got good players. We need to start getting great players.
What was your take on our quarterback play?
All right, so one thing, JR, that we did notice, obviously you would have a tremendous amount of knowledge about running backs and running back play and getting those hard yards and being able to, in essence, carry an offense on your shoulders. So you've been called to do that yourself. What is it you saw about Cam Skattebo and the way he played and the way he was able to get those hard yards during the game?
I love the way he played. He played physical. I can tell you this. One of the things about when you are a running back, especially at the college level, you're required to be the most physical person on the field. Even though, it seems like that would be D-line, O-line, or even, a safety if that matters, or a linebacker. But the running back actually has to be the most physical person on the field. When he has an opportunity to make you miss, he does. But when he has an opportunity to lean into you and show you, nah, not today, he's supposed to take every opportunity to let you know, no, not today. And he did a lot of that. I like the way that he comes downhill right away. He does not reel east and west. He's looking to stick his foot in the ground. He does a good job with kind of sliding a little bit, but he's all about the contact. You know what I mean? And I like the way he gets down, and he can, he's got good vision also. He creates a lot of arm tackles. He's a big body kid, so he knows how to get his whole body on half of your body. He slides a little bit right before contact, but I wish and I hope this game is about longevity, so I like to see him. I like to see him not continue to stand up, right, and take shots when you're not going anywhere. When you're wrapped up and they pretty much got you. I like to see him go ahead and get down so he can preserve himself, because right now, he's the big bulk of the offense, probably most of the offense outside of number 2 and number 12. And they got to get the ball to them. They got to get the ball to them. They got to find a way to game plan them into success by the plays that they call. They have to set up plays for their playmakers so they can make more plays. Because you're right, we lack the dogs, but we do got some guys that can make plays. But we got to be able to put them in a position to make those plays.
So, JR, take us through the mind of a running back, because you played on all levels and you've been successful at all levels. Mm-hmm. They've had injuries on the O-line, as we know, and not an excuse in any way, but when you're in that position, put us in your mind. If you're in that situation, you've had injuries on the O-line, quarterback situation is unsettled at best. How do you mentally get yourself ready to get those yards? And like you said, to be able to put your foot down, knowing that you may get hit in the backfield, but you may not. But kind of take us through your progression. How would you be able to prepare for that? How would you mentally be able to get to a position where you're performing and excelling?
Well, I think ultimately at the end of the day, it's just knowing that what I led with is that I'm the most physical person on this field. And if you give me an opportunity, I'm going to bust your ass. That's really what it got to come down to. You know what I'm saying? There's always going to be an opportunity. They're always going to give you an opportunity. Someone's going to be out of their gap. Somebody's going to over pursue, right? Somebody's going to get blocked, and when those things take place and when they happen and when you see you can take advantage of a situation, I mean, you gotta be all for it. You got to go all in. And that's what I like about him, because it didn't matter what the situation was. He was going to make the play, whether he was lined up at quarterback, right? And he was actually going to throw the ball. He was going to make the play. I think the biggest thing is being a playmaker, right? You put the ball in their hands to make plays. So once you see that this guy can make plays, you got to find a way to get him the ball. You got to find a way to get him the ball in different ways. I really believe they need to get these guys in space and let them use. Look, running back is great, okay? It's one of the funnest positions ever. But the fact of the matter is I'm starting with the whole defense in front of me on every play. Sometimes give me the ball in space when there's 2 or 3 guys out there, right? It makes it much more easier, right? If he can get loose from the back with all 11 in front of him, what you think he go do in space? So I really think they should get him the ball in space.
Just to interject, now we pretty much know that we don't have too many threats, like you just said, guys said, just not too many dogs, and we can't get them the ball, the ones that we do have. So now, these defensive coordinators are going to begin to stack that box. So what would he see then?
Oh, I mean, I love that. Stack the box. So when they stack the box, guess what's going to happen? Tight end on that ass all day long. Let them come up in the box. And that's when you get the tight end right behind him, right? That's when the tight end becomes a big part of the game, because now he's one-on-one, right? Back there. Okay, and there's not anybody else back there. So let him bring in a box. I mean, it all plays a good running game, opens up the passing game, right? And the tight end is the best weapon you can have on the field. Because the tight end, let me tell you something. The weakest position in football is safety. The weakest position in football is the safety position. That is the weakest position on the football field. Okay, I'll tell you how so. You can look at 32 NFL teams right now. I don't know if you can name out of 32 teams 10 good corners. I mean, excuse me, good safeties.
5.
Safeties.
Give me five.
Yeah. No. But you're going to make my point by saying it. I'm saying you can't name 10.
Yep.
You'd be hard-pressed to name 5. You can name 5 probably, but you can't name 10 on 32 rosters that this dude is you can't name them. And it's always been like that every year that I've been watching football, right? So, tight ends, this is why they're going to get paid the big bucks. This is why tight ends are big playmakers right now. New England exposed that, right? Because it's a disadvantage. It's a big disadvantage. So we want to be able to run the ball so we can throw to our tight end. We got a gorgeous tight end. He's big, he's fast, he's physical, and he can catch the ball.
Well, we can't run him in a
Wildcat.
We can't run him in a Wildcat. That's for sure. You know
Can't
what I'm
run
saying? This way, our tight end and a wildcat. Let's just be for real. You know what I'm saying? It's the ways that we have to use. We got to use them conventionally, or like you said, Belichick used them in that offense. Just follow it.
Yeah, you got to throw him the ball. Definitely, I would say.
You got to throw him the ball.
You can't. 4th and 1 ain't it, bro?
Right.
I'm sorry.
But did you guys see? You guys had an opportunity to watch Oregon, right?
Yeah.
Bo Nix.
Yeah.
Okay, now it's a copycat league. People always copy success. So me personally, in Skattebo, you have like a Bo Nix. You have a threat of a guy that can run the ball down your throat, but he can also drop a dime. He can also, he threw a nice pass over the middle, held up the guy from getting hit a little bit. He can actually throw the ball, and he knows how to do it. So why not implement that? Because that will slow down the defense 100%. They won't be able to play fast.
Have you ever seen a tight end run a wildcat on 4th and 1? Talk it.
You know what? That's not something I want to talk about right now. But
exactly.
No,
we have to put him in position to be successful. His highest percentage of efficiency. You know what I'm saying? So I got you.
But let's stop calling it the Wildcat. It's the Sparky formation.
Yeah, right.
All right. Come on, man. We don't talk about Wildcats on here unless it's U of A week.
Ain't no Wildcats on the field right now.
Oh, my bad. Hey, also today I made a bold prediction. Like I said, we're pretty much veering off the off the shows, off the platforms, pattern or sequence. Here we go. Let's talk it. So today I made a prediction. Trenton Bourguet just got named the starting quarterback. I predicted that Bourguet will beat the Buffs. We'll beat Colorado. Yeah. What do you guys think? I know you don't talk about predictions, JR. But Juan, what do you think about it?
I think that we got to beat Cal first. Is what I think. I think you got to go to the Bay Area. You got to go up on the road. Reestablish your quarterback. We know Bourguet can throw. We know that he doesn't have a cannon, but he has a gun, and he can get the ball where it needs to go. We got Badgers out there. We got Conyers. So like JR said, if we could find a way to get Skattebo established, again we're gonna be underdogs. I saw that predictors saying we're 90% chance of losing that game, but this is the right environment. This is the right opportunity to do the things like JR mentioned. Is to get Skattebo going, get that defense to tighten up, and then unload Conyers on them. Get Badger on the edge on a corner out. And Bourguet can do those things. And that's, I think, what's missing is consistent quarterback play and competent quarterback play. As long as they get that and our defense is able to at least hold them, because this ain't Caleb Williams on the Cal side now. Our defense can do something here. So we could get that going. It'll be a close one. You're looking maybe 27-24, 24-21 type of game. I don't think it's going to be a runaway by either side based on what I've seen on both teams. So if we could go in there and get that win, then it would be interesting to see what happens at home against Colorado. But JR and I are bred in one at a time. Got to take care of business in the Bay Area first. Can't go limping into that game 1-4,
See, last week, Branch and Rice and those guys were moving at, like I said, at a different speed, man, different tempo. And, they say speed kills. How do we contain that from a defensive perspective?
From a defensive perspective, you're going to probably have to run some cover 3.
Okay.
You have to play to your strengths, right? So you got guys, you got big guys at the corner position, guys that can be physical, got long bodies, play some cover 3, so that way they know, at the end of the day, the only job I have is not to let this person get behind me, right? And that means what does that mean? That means our linebackers have to get depth. They have to get to the drop points, right? They have to be disruptive. They have to look from outside in, inside out. If nothing's coming from the outside, I'm looking back in, looking for the in cuts, looking for things coming across the field so I can wreak havoc. It's just about understanding where you are and what's going on and playing to your strengths. Okay. So, if there's a situation where guys are running by you, you got to change the coverage.
There you go. All right. Juan, real quick. Right now, what is your take on that offensive line so far in the first quarter of the season?
it's hard to say and it's hard to judge it because, again, the injuries, they don't have the 5 starters playing. And again, not an excuse, but a reason. I think that they put up a good fight, but again, you see where the disadvantages are. You see where the lack of playing together comes into play. Offensive line, when it's 5 guys and you have to depend on your brother to do his job, he's depending on you to do yours. And there's a synergy there. And that the way you get that synergy, the way you get that trust, the way you get that that identity of we're going to take the field and we are going to run you over. It's repetitions, and it's repetitions together, and it's playing games together. If you got different 5 every other game, you're not going to have that cohesiveness and that consistency to become, a competent force up front. So I think what eventually, hopefully, as the season progresses, you get these guys healthy, the ones that are going to be healthy. You get them in there as quickly as possible. You get these guys practicing together. You get them, working together, and hopefully we'll see a vast improvement. Right now, it's a work in progress. It's nowhere near where we want it to be. And I'm sure Coach Dillingham's saying the same thing to his O-line coach and to his players. You got to find 5, and you got to find maybe 3 reserves. You need 8. If you don't got 8, you're in trouble. We don't have 8. We probably had 5, but when they get hurt, as you see, we just – and again, it goes back to recruiting, and I'm sure he's going to bring in some beef in the offseason. But I think that's what's critical is that they got these guys – they got to get their 5 back, the guys that are going to start, and they got to get these guys practicing and playing together in order to establish some type of consistency.
This week's guest put the nation on notice last Saturday, gaining 111 yards and 79 receiving yards, with 52 of those coming on a touchdown that will forever be cemented in Sun Devil folklore. Please welcome our guest, Mr. Cam Skattebo. Oh, by the way, you can get this nice Cam Skattebo shirt at a7elite.com. Yeah, for sure.
How's it going?
Pretty good, man. Thank you for coming on. You're our first repeat guest. Like you promised, after you get your first 100-yard game, you'll be back on. Thank you, brother.
Of course. Thank you, guys.
It looks like there's many more of those to come too, judging by the way that you got down this past week, man. First would like to say, it sucks not getting the W, not getting the win overall as a team. But I do, and I would like to congratulate you on a good individual effort in regards to going out there and making plays. I mean, every way they asked you to make a play, you made one. Whether it was throwing it, whether it was catching it, whether it was taking the tough yards up the middle. I mean, you showed that you are a complete back. So if anybody just thought that you was a power ball or a juggernaut, no, you got a lot in the tank. You have a tremendous skill set. So I'd like to congratulate you on getting an opportunity to showcase your talent this last weekend.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Appreciate that.
No problem.
And if I could jump in here, what I just admired in watching you play that game is the fire you played with from the first snap all the way to the end. You gave it everything you had. You could tell that it was important to you, that it mattered to you, that you weren't even looking at the scoreboard. You were just worried about the next play. And like Jared said, making a play and doing everything you can to carry this team on your shoulders, which I believe you did carry that offense on your shoulders Saturday. Probably going to be doing a lot more this season. So, hats off to that young man. That was super impressive to watch, to just see that amount of heart and effort and the love of the game that was coming out on every single play. You were getting me fired up. Just watching you run the football, throwing the football in the Sparky formation. Everything that you did is just a champion's mentality. So thank you for bringing that to Tempe, because that they sorely need it, and hopefully it'll lead to some success here shortly.
I mean, a big thing is Dillingham. The different play calling. I was put in a situation this last week that I was able to improve those numbers. But first 3 weeks, I felt I was struggling a little bit, kind of getting used to the pace of the game. But now that I'm here and that I've, this game was kind of my confidence booster. I definitely feel like now I know I could do it, and without those first 3 weeks, I kind of felt like, can I do it, but I mean, with the first quarter of the season, I got a lot of guys in front of me. I've probably played behind 9 dudes at this point, with guys getting injured and everything. So this last week, I'm just glad, like, the guys that were in front of me at that moment, they were resilient, and they chose to fight with everything they had in front of me, so I could achieve that. But for the most part, I mean, I'm put in the right situation by the coach, and also my guys up in front actually take initiative and being able to get me going.
So Cam,
Okay.
on that note, obviously the offensive line was cut by injuries. You went through Tonazona the first 3 games. Like you said, it wasn't so much that you were struggling. It seemed more like the offense as a whole was struggling to be able to get you going, to be able to get those blocks, get those holes opened up. Take us in the huddle right now. What during practice and leading up to Saturday, where you had, again, almost 180 total yards, but 111 specifically on the ground. How are these guys able to get going despite all the injuries and to be able to rise and to be able to get that going for you?
I'd say the biggest thing is probably I don't know if you watch the whole USC game play by play. I think 95% of the snaps, all 5 of the guys up front were the same. They were able to be like that all week. They were all healthy throughout the week, and those 5 guys established themselves throughout the week. And with those 5 guys being able to work together and having a really good 2 practices through the week, I think them just connecting and being able to bring something together finally without the first 3 weeks, there's different guys in there and they don't really know who's going to be the settlement there. But with the 5 guys that were there that last game, I think it kind of settled a little bit more that they were comfortable next to each other the whole time.
So, and then looking forward to Cal, I got one last question here. Looking forward to this week, right? You're going to the Bay Area, your neck of the woods, right? Of Sacramento State. So going into that environment, it's not like Cal is the most hostile place to play, but it's on the road. It is in California. Historically, ASU has struggled with both road games in California. How are these guys practicing this week? How is the mentality this week to go up there and take care of business and get you going again against the Bears? What are you seeing on the Bears and in our guys that can help you be successful?
Nice. Let me ask you a question. And this is about last week's game. At what point in the game did you realize that, okay, I have to take this game over? That is a play. I have to make it.
From the first play, I knew that our offense was struggling the weeks before. With Dillingham taking over the play calling, knowing I was going to get the ball a little more than usual. I knew every time I touched the ball, I had to make it count because, you see the game before, I only had 6 touches, and I didn't make them all count as much as I could have. I know every touch this last game, I needed to make them all count. And I think I tried my best to do it. But
yeah, definitely.
That was the biggest thing, just making sure they all count. And you never get those days back. So
right,
playing number 5 team in the country, you'll never get that back.
Right.
So you have that in the back of your mind that we could beat this team. We know we could beat this team, and if we do, it'll be history. So
right.
That was for sure a little bit more of a motivation too.
Definitely. I would say this. One of the things that I liked about this game, this USC game, in regards to past games that have taken place against USC, and Juan can attest to this. There's been so many games where going up into the third quarter, going at a halftime, we were up, and then we came out second half, and it just was no fight. But you guys, and I'm going to attribute this to your hard play, right? You scrapping, clawing, scratching for every opportunity. You guys fought. It wasn't just you out there fighting; the whole team fought. And you're going to have to bring that every week, man. You're going to have to bring that type of tenacity, that type of energy, that type of want to, enforcing your will on other defenses. You're going to have to bring that every week, because if you bring that, eventually other people are going to follow. You just got to keep bringing it.
Look forward to. I just want to see you run that rock on Saturday.
Now I got a couple questions real quick. Now, what is your favorite play right now?
All of them.
I
always say it because I always believe, like, you just give me the rock, I'm gonna make something. So
Right.
I mean, they're gonna do something to block somebody. So I just got to make the rest happen, you know. So I don't really have a favorite play, but there's probably a couple up there, but at the moment, I don't really got one other than all of them.
You're supposed to say counter Trey, man. Come on. That was JR's favorite play. Was the counter.
Yep.
I mean, we run it a lot, so that's for sure up there.
Yeah. So, you know, I wanted to say too, it's a good thing that you did have an opportunity for, you know, the 5 guys that practiced was the 5 guys that played in the game. You know, if you guys are able to get through another week and keep that line solidified, one of the things you'll find is it's going to be easier because you're going to know the strengths and the weaknesses of the guys that are in front of you. So you can almost anticipate certain things, right? If you know this guy has an issue, okay, he's not really going to make that reach block. You know, you kind of anticipate, all right, once I get going this way, I'll probably have to stick my foot in the ground and cut right back underneath them. You know, so the good thing about having guys and being able to practice with them during the week and then being able to have them same guys in the game, because when you watch the film and you see, you know, what goes on in practice, again, you're going to know exactly where you fit on certain plays based upon the strengths that you know and the weaknesses that you know of your offensive line. So I think it's only going to get easier for you, especially if you guys are able to keep the same guys up front.
Yeah, 100% agree with you.
Well, hey, thank you for coming out, man. I really appreciate it. You know, I look forward to having you again. Next time, the next game when you get 200 yards, we'll be having you back on here, hopefully.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Yes,
no
sir.
doubt. Thank you.
Appreciate it, y'all.
All right, have a good one.
Thank you. Good luck Saturday.
Hey, yeah, for sure. We'll be rooting you on. Hey, I bet you'll be a lot more number 4 jerseys out there, too.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Hey, y'all, tune in next week as we recap next Saturday's game against the Bears of Berkeley. Thank you for tuning in. Until next week, Forks Up.